I'm close to you. There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Dawn. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Courtney.
Police, what's going on by 515th Street? What's going on there, man? We were kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Hello? Oh, nothing more creepier than a freaking shit. Hello? What's up, Mob Crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have a special guest with me, Candice Cooley, who I'll introduce here in just a minute. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. I cover murder, mystery to the paranormal, and we're going to be doing some updates on the Dylan Round case. So I'm going to introduce his mother, Candice Cooley. Hi, Candice. How are you?
Good. How are you, Chris?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you on. So, do you want to go ahead and start with the timeline, and then we can answer some questions? And
yeah. So we'll run through everything where we've released so much.
Yeah.
So we'll go clear back to, we know that the last phone call from Dylan that somebody physically talked to him was his grandmother on May 28th. That same morning, he also called Brenner, the main suspect.
Right.
We're pretty sure he called Brenner because the gate was locked. And so we'll just clear this up right now. There's been some reports that the gate was replaced or had been torn down or ran over. No, it was a lock.
It was the lock. Okay.
Yeah. Last year when Dylan was out there, he had a key to the lock to get in the gate. And then he doesn't live out there full time. And so the lock was changed. So the gate was intact. It's just the lock that was changed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Right there. So that gate is easy enough to take down. It's all you do. You just unwire it and lay it down. The lock, it's just a deterrent.
Right.
So we're pretty sure that's why Dylan called Brenner that morning, was to come unlock the gate. That's where his phone pinged to when he called Grandma and Brenner. He was at the gate. So we know Dylan was the one who took his grain truck to the shed. So then we'll fast forward from there. Sunday, Grandma calls Dawn to go look for Dylan. Dawn tells her him and Brenner went out there, but ironically enough, left no tire tracks and no footprints, and we were still leaving footprints on Monday. So then Monday, when we get out there, that's within an hour and a half of search and rescue getting there that the boots are found. And we know they're Dylan's boots. We also know that it was Dylan's blood on the boots. And when we say blood, it was a drop of blood. It wasn't splatter. It could have been from a bloody nose. I highly doubt it because it was on the top of the boots. But it wasn't, don't think it was this astronomical amount of blood. It was a drop. Now we know, and we've known, we just haven't said anything. We know how the boots got there, and Brenner has admitted he's the one who put them there.
Right.
Found him by the shed, picked him up, moved him from the shed to his camper, and then from his camper to the dirt pile. Now, that dirt pile, it did used to be a garbage dump. The first year Dylan was out there in 2019, it was, and then they buried it, and it's never been used since. There's no garbage around it. There's no disturbances in the weeds. There's nothing. There's just a pair of boots. Why Brenner would walk that far is unfathomable. I mean, basically, he didn't want to be caught with the boots, is our opinion. So after the boots are found, search and rescue continues looking. So we go to Tuesday, May 31st. That's when we got the phone call from Kurt Wadsworth that said Dylan was being held hostage in Montello. And we all ran to Montello. Elko County sent out a bunch of deputies. That came to nothing. It came to, Kurt said he had this knowledge from firsthand, to then it came from a psychic. Now, we've been asked over and over and over, why would he make that phone call? We don't have that answer because we're not him. But my gut instinct tells me that's right after Justin left Montello offering up a $20,000 reward.
Right.
That phone call came in 30 minutes after that. So everybody wanted to point their fingers at Chase. And so then we get the phone call. Turns into nothing. The Avila family was cooperative, let the deputies search every ounce of their property. So during that time, the next morning we go out on Wednesday, and it was actually, if you want to swap that, Chris, it was actually, oh no, you got it right. It was the gun that came back before the key fob. So we were all in that camper on Monday specifically looking for Dylan's keys and his gun. They were not there. That gun was clearly, it was right on the bathroom. So you think of a little camp trailer, and you have your little bathroom, and you walk out of it, and there's your sink. So Dylan's gun case was in the sink. When we arrived on Monday, I opened it. I opened the medicine cabinet. Dylan's aunt cleaned the bathroom the next day for his grandmother. That gun was not there. So law enforcement's there. We find the gun. It gets bagged. They take pictures. The next day, in the same exact spot, is the key fob. After pictures of it not being there. So right there, everything should have changed when we found the boots. But when Dylan's stuff started coming back, that should have been huge.
Right.
So from that day, so Tuesday after Box Elder had pulled out and basically left us out there, and then Wednesday we still had a couple of the detectives. They seen the key fob came back. That's the day that the detective told me, did you know it was blood on the boots and it was your son's? Saying that to me, but the boots never got to the lab until June 6th. So that was a bold-faced lie. The boots were not at the lab. They had not been tested. At what exact interview Brenner told him he picked up the boots, I don't have the exact date. So then after the key fob comes out Thursday, that's the first day Diesel Brothers came out and did their video. Friday, Weber County Search and Rescue came out, and they were amazing. They came out in full force. I asked one of the search and rescue guys, I said, when do we call in the forces? We have so many friends and families that want to come help search for him. And he told me probably now. Because that was it. Weber County came out a day, and that was it. That was all we got. Wow. We did not even get 3 full days of search and rescue looking for Dylan.
It's a big area. There's a lot.
It is. It's a huge area, and like I said, I keep going back to the boots should have changed it all on day one. We should have been kicked off the property. I mean, we were kicked off the property by law enforcement because they didn't want to irritate Brenner, not because Dylan's boots were found there and they wanted to treat it as a crime scene. So as we continue forward, so it was finally on June 11th, and we were with Elko County and Montello searching the Nevada side, that Brenner was finally arrested on his felony warrant felony aggravated assault from April of 2021.
From almost a whole year ago.
A full year, and they finally arrested him. They knew he had the warrant day one we showed up there. They knew day one who he was, and he had the warrant. So they gave him yet another, 12 days? That's when on June 2nd, that's when he pulled the grain truck out of the shed and cleaned the shed. Mm-hmm. And for everybody who's watched the Diesel Brothers interview, and we're sitting in that shed, and there's photos of it, it's full of garbage. It's full of his beer cans and garbage. Whatever was cleaned out of that shed, I know in my heart had to do with Dylan's disappearance. Yeah, right. Yep. When they took that, he took it upon himself. So we're about a mile away, not quite a mile. Let's see, it'd be back to the southeast of that exact location. You could see that truck sitting from where we were at, sitting out of the shed. You could see him packing the garbage bags out of the shed, and nothing was done about it.
Yeah, I've seen the Diesel Brothers video, and it looks pretty cleared out now.
No, it's still full of garbage.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah. And I can send you some pictures. You just got to zoom in and look around. It's got empty beer boxes, beer cans, garbage, stuff everywhere. Whatever was taken out there was a specific reason. People ask us, where did those garbage bags go? We don't have a clue. We have no clue, because at that point we were told to move off the property because we were irritating Brenner. Even though we had permission, a written letter, and to law enforcement, a written letter of, no, you guys have access to all of my property, whatever it takes to find Dylan, and they just nothing.
And that's not his property. He was squatting on it.
Correct. Yeah. None of it's his. The fifth wheel that he was staying in, Dylan bought for him. Dylan's the one who bought that camper to get him out of that old motorhome you see in the picture.
Right. Yeah, this one here.
Yes.
Yep.
So from there, we go from June 6th to more lies and more lies and more runaround, to him being arrested on June 11th, released on his own recognizance on June 10th. And then when the FBI got involved, it would have been June 12th. That Sunday is when we told the FBI was getting involved. Then it was June 16th when they executed the first search warrant on that property. So we were over 2 weeks that this man could do whatever he wanted on that property. And he wasn't being watched. He wasn't under surveillance. Nobody was keeping an eye on him. So then after that, I think Box Elder was feeling the heat. So then it was June 18th is when Dylan's phone was found in the pond.
Right.
And we still don't have his wallet. My assumption, my opinion is his wallet went in that pond also. But it's an underground freshwater spring, and Dylan never kept anything in his wallet besides his driver's license and maybe 2 cards. So the phone was heavy enough to settle, but the wallet wasn't.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you. Yeah. From day one, having Dylan's boots, everything should have changed. I mean, law enforcement has let all the evidence go. So after the 18th of the phone being found, on the 20th, Box Elder County went back and arrested Brenner for the second time on gun charges. Mm-hmm. Those guns were in the camper on the 16th. When they arrested him, those guns were in Don Haley's possession. Why he wasn't arrested on the 16th, I don't know. But so then there's yet another 4 days. So then in Deputy Iveson's report, it clearly states, do not give him bail. He's violent. He's going to retaliate on his victim on the felony assault charges. It clearly states it. Do not give this man bail. He's, he's a threat to everybody around him. Well, what the fuck do they do? They give him $5,000 bond. $5,000. So he actually made his bond, but in the meantime, the FBI was working on the background, and they got the felony gun charges on him from the 22 that Hately had. And that's how he ended up from Box Elder to Weber County and in federal custody. Otherwise, he would have been let go yet again for the second time during Dylan's case when all the evidence pointed at him.
I just can't wrap my head around that.
No. And so then we fast forward, and as a family, we keep pushing and pushing. Constant resistance from Box Elder, from the drones, from EquiSearch, to the dogs. So that, I mean, I have all the emails, I have all the recordings. It's been nothing but resistance of getting help out there to find Dylan. And then it got so bad that now we got the suspect wanting to talk. They're not charging him. They can't talk to him because he's lawyered up, which, interesting fact, he no longer has an attorney right now.
Oh, really?
No, there was a conflict of interest. She dropped him last week.
Is that what the Chase thing, or?
It didn't say what the conflict of interest was. It just said a conflict of interest. So what better time to go talk to a suspect in a homicide investigation than when he doesn't have an attorney? But still has not been done.
Wow.
So then Brenner, he has finally started reaching out. He spoke with Justin and Larry and Karen. So the first couple phone calls, they just listened, and it was pointing fingers at Chase and, everybody else. We know for a fact Chase was not in the area Dylan went missing. The day he was not there. So finally Karen called him out, and she just called him out with the evidence, all the evidence we have. And it was just kind of, the flip of a light switch, and he'll no longer talk to the family, and you need to talk to my attorney. And now he doesn't have an attorney, yet he's still not being talked to.
Wow.
So it's just been one fight after another. Like, we just can't get any help. And I don't know. I don't know if they think we're eventually going to go away, if we're going to let this go, if we're just going to chalk it up to wait until he talks in jail. But that's not the case. We won't stop as a family. And that's why we finally let everything out, because it's like, as much as we've been screaming, and there's been some holes in the story and some stuff that's been leaked that, shouldn't have been. So we're finally to the point where, like, the public needs to know exactly what we're fighting and why we're so furious, because we have every right to be.
Oh, yeah.
Every right to be. We're at this wall where we need to find Dylan and bring him home, or Brenner needs to talk and tell us what he did with Dylan. Box Elder County is not doing either one of those things. Last week, I gave Box Elder the benefit of the doubt again, talked to Detective Moore. He said he was going to send us a drone pilot. The search and rescue guy has been awesome. He's been amazing help. It's nothing against him, but he doesn't have a pilot's license, and he flunked his test. And so once again, we end up there in the desert as a family alone last week, because Box Elder County says, here, we'll come fly this for you. And then they don't even, and never even get a phone call back from the detective after that. It was like, here, let's throw him this bone and shut him up, and then we're going to take it right away.
Wow. Yeah, that's so messed up. And you need drones out there. I mean, it's so vast. I mean, we've been out there 5 times, 3 times in Lucin, then 2 times in Snowville and the surrounding cities. And I mean, just even covering what we've covered with the drone, we feel like we barely touched, scratched the surface.
Yeah, there's so much, and there's so many, specific areas as a family that we're looking at, and so right now we're just to the point that we're taking the search into our own hands. There's nothing we can do with Brenner in jail, but as a family, we have plans and we have stuff coming up, and that's why you keep telling people, please, please, please stay out of the area. We need to do this on our own, because we have the technology and the professionals that are coming out. So
yeah, I'm so happy for you. Yeah, it's tough. And then just hearing all these stuff because we've been out there, and we were under the impression that pond had been thoroughly searched multiple times when we'd first gone out there. Do you know how many times that pond was searched until they found the phone?
Just once. So I think everybody was getting confused with Dylan's pond at his camper and the Lucin pond, because we drained Dylan's pond on day number 2. We drained it completely. So there's, he had his, and then there was a Lucin pond, but Justin was out there when they searched the Lucin pond, and he watched them do it, and it was literally inch by inch. I mean, you think you search this pond enough to find a phone, you're not going to not find if Dylan was in there.
Yeah, it's not deep, but it's a weird pond, but yeah, it's not very big.
Yeah, it's just odd shaped.
Yeah, we're looking at it here. It's not big, but I could see something small getting kind of hidden. But yeah, after you search it, some people wonder if he could have been sucked under. I mean,
no.
Yeah.
No, those pipes that come in out of those ponds, I mean, they're they're just,
Yeah. Interesting. So let's see, let me pull this up here. So just kind of recap on just the latest info. Pull that up. So just with the boots, we've learned that they did have Brenner's DNA, correct?
Yeah, and let me tell you about the boots. So when Justin and I went out and looked at them, there wasn't even dust on them.
Right.
So Dylan had not been out to that property because he was custom planting in other places. Dylan had not been out to that property in 3 weeks to a month, and even Brenner matched up with that timeline that he hadn't seen Dylan for 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
Those Georgia boots, just like the ones you have in the picture, only not with laces and the flat-soled ones, they discolor so fast, that yellow leather. If they were sitting in that desert and through that rainstorm and out in those elements, they would have looked so old. I mean, there wasn't even sand from the wind blowing. I mean, they were freshly put there.
Yeah. Wow. And then so we learned that it just had one drop of blood on him, and then of course Brenner's kind of been throwing Chase under the bus, but Chase was he was seen on surveillance, correct, on that Saturday. Yes. So he wasn't even
twice,
right? So then we also so then he called Brenner right after Grandma at 6:51, and that was because the lock change.
That's the assumption, and I believe he called Brenner before Grandma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so people always say, why would you have such a short phone call with Dylan? Why would you have such, why would he just call tell you that and then say, I'll call you back? So that's what Dylan does. Like when something's excited, it's raining or something's going on, Dylan's like, oh, hey Mom, I, just got a flat tire or 2 blowouts, and I'll call you back. I got to call the tire store. Bye. Okay. Right. I mean, that's how he is. He does that all the time when he calls you, and it's like, I guess I'll wait to hear back. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Let's see. So press it forward. Then we learned the gun. Okay, one question with the gun, just the way it was worded, is so the clip or magazine, as people, the magazine was there as well. It was just out of it.
It was just out of it.
Okay. One of the biggest questions I've get since we've learned that, I don't know if you can answer. If you can't, that's fine. Was there any bullets missing?
Didn't count them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just bagged it and didn't even mess with it.
Okay. So, yeah, because I wasn't sure. The way it was worded, it wasn't sure if the magazine was there.
There was bullets in the magazine, but whether or not it was fully loaded, we didn't want to mess with anything.
Oh, sure.
So,
let's see. Okay. So this is the next big question, because now we learned that he was taking out the trash of the grain shed, doing some spring cleaning in the middle of summer, or first part of summer, I guess. But a lot of people ask me, Have you checked the landfills? Or law enforcement checking landfills?
There's no public landfills around. I mean, the closest public landfill you'd have to go to Wendover or Wells.
Mm-hmm.
So people got to realize, Brenner never took his pickup on the highway, ever. We find Dylan's pickup. It's almost full of gas. Almost. Not just missing a little bit. Couldn't have made it to a landfill. And I guarantee you Brenner wouldn't have stopped at a gas station and put gas in it if he used Dylan's pickup. You got to realize this was a very secluded man, and that's the way he wanted it. He's not going to go to a major town with somebody that he's just done something to. He won't even do it on his own. That's why when they'd go to town, it would always be Brenner and Don together, because Don would always do the driving. He didn't go anywhere like that, and I don't even think his pickup would make it.
Right. So he kind of did a little spring cleaning. I'll just pull up the calendar here. Starting on, I think, Thursday, I believe you said.
Yeah, it was the second. That's why in that screenshot you just showed, that's the Diesel brothers. That's from their chopper. And that truck's pulled out. Brenner did that. That wasn't us. Brenner did that.
Wow. Dang, I should have took a screenshot from that Diesel brothers so I could show kind of what it looked like now. So then, okay, a lot of people, so just fast forward a little bit. So then we have the gun found, and then of course the key fob the next day.
Right.
And then the horse. So what's the situation with the horse? Everybody's asking about.
So the horse was walked from where the shed is to the railroad tracks, and then it was kind of walked in a roundabout way. So like
this was just estimate.
Yeah, but it went the other direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it went the other direction, kind of in a roundabout way. I want to my screen like I'm pointing at you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Kind of like this.
Yeah, so go on the grain truck and just kind of go a little bit to the left and make a circle back to the tracks right after that red area. The other direction.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Sorry, right. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen backwards. Yeah, so he kind of went other way.
Oh, okay. Yes, I was this way.
Yeah. So kind of like that is how that horse was led.
Interesting.
And then it kind of scuffles around, and the horse takes off back towards the Lucin pond, and Brenner walks right back to his camper.
Wow.
Some of the tracks went out further too, and Brenner told Search and Rescue and Box Elder, I walked my horse, and we're looking at him going, this man does not walk this horse.
Yeah.
And especially on a rainy day in the mud. I mean, that you would even buy that story and just walk away from that story. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Did he have that like as a pet? I don't see him riding a horse.
I don't know how he came about it. I've heard 50 stories. That horse has been out there for the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
It's not a horse you're going to ride. So that was his whole thing with that gate staying closed, was so his horse could get out. So when we were out there that first week, somebody went up there and left the gate down. And that's when he started relocking it. And the horse got out and ended up where all of us campers were parked. And he was furious.
Oh, really?
Chasing his horse and having to get his horse back. And then he started locking the gate again.
Interesting. Yeah. So it seemed like he kind of had a short fuse. I mean, I know you kind of, he stayed with you, but he was kind of quiet.
Yeah. He's a snap person. Nothing, people keep thinking, well, what would be the motive? What would be, what I don't believe there's any motive besides, you look back on his criminal history and everything's a snap moment. There's no premeditation. Sure. There's no reason why. There's no, just one day you made me mad in the wrong way. And so now I'm going to harm you.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Okay. So we've got, and that was Saturday, correct? The whole horse incident where.
Yeah. As far as what the tracks looked like. As far as the mud was, but we weren't there.
Sure. Then we talked about the phone being found June 18th. And just a quick question on the phone. because you were talking about the way it was handled. Do we know if we'll be able to get evidence from it, like fingerprints or
Yeah,
DNA?
we don't know because the phone got taken out of the water. As far as we know, they didn't get anything off the phone. I know some of the other law enforcement agencies that are helping us are working to see if they can get anything. But the first initial report, no, we didn't get anything off of it.
Yeah. Okay, so pushing forward, that was the 18th. One question I see a lot: did Brenner know about the truck at all, as far as the 4 low not working?
I highly doubt it. Dylan didn't have. Okay, so Dylan didn't live out there full time.
Right.
Absolutely not even close. Dylan was out there a little bit in March, making sure his pivot was running and keeping everything going. And then he took off and started doing all of his custom work. He hadn't had Brenner working for him so far this year. They hadn't been doing anything together as far as work. So I highly doubt he would have any clue it wasn't working.
Interesting. And so obviously the truck was found pressure washed.
Yes.
And they got most of it, except they missed the under parts of the wheel well.
And that picture you have shows it perfectly, because when you back out, did you get the full video of it? But when you
I do, but I don't have it with me. I'm sorry.
When you back away from the truck, there's no mud anywhere, and there is no mud in the back wheel wells.
Right. I noticed that. Yep.
Only the front, and it had not rained in Lucin since March, I think. I'd have to look back on Dylan's pictures. It was around March. His pivot wasn't running, so where would you get mud before that Saturday? Nowhere was, and where would you only get it in the front wheel wells?
Right. Yeah.
How do you only get mud in the front wheel well? I mean, that's just the confidence. People can say, well, maybe Dylan power washed it. No, Dylan doesn't pressure wash his truck. He doesn't care. And if he did, he'd make sure he got all of it. But the front wheel wells.
So I wish I had the picture, but as a matter of fact, one of these pictures you have, which is obviously standing back from the truck, behind the rear of the left side, driver's side, where you're kind of close to the rear wheel well. You can actually see, because it kind of looks like cement. You can actually see a little bit of pool of cement on the ground right where it would drop. If you were spraying the back, you can actually see there's actually some of this. I wish I had the picture, but you can see it. So it's clearly clean in the back, but missed the front.
The pickup was clearly pressure washed. No question, no doubt. It was pressure washed. And it was pressure washed after the rainstorm.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so we asked you if we thought Dylan was in there.
No.
I've been asked if anybody tried to take any DNA samples from the Lucin pond. That's if they suspect if he was in there.
But I don't know how you take DNA from water.
You actually can. From Steve, he told me if a body was like laying in there, it would actually, sadly, if it was decomposing, it actually, you could actually get samples from it. That's something I kind of learned from Steve. So that day you talk about just the phone pings, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but it sounds like that Saturday his phone was pinging at the gate when he made the phone call.
So as far as I understand it, the reason we know the phone was at the gate on that ping was because it was a phone call. The rest of these pings, we know the phone never left the area. So the rest of these pings, you take from the tower and the closest thing that Dylan would be next to, and that's how we come up with that. Dylan wasn't one to have a bunch of apps open. He wasn't on social media a lot. He wasn't, he wasn't on Google. He didn't use email. There wasn't all this stuff in the background pinging like most of us have. So that's kind of where we put together the line of, it could be, 300 yards from there, but the location that makes sense next to where that ping is right here, because that's it. Dylan's not going to be sitting out in the middle of the desert, and his phone's not going to be sitting out in the middle of the desert with no road, no nothing by it. So that's where we can bring it back to, well, this is the most likely location.
Sure. So, and then it kind of bounced around and then ended up by the Lucin pond. Is that?
Yeah, that was the closest idea of where it would be, and that's where it was.
Okay. Makes sense. So let's see here. So Brenner's, kind of alibi. So apparently after there was supposed to be a barbecue at like 3 p.m. at Dawn's.
Yeah, dinner. They had plans for dinner.
Mm-hmm. And then also after he cleaned out the grain shed, or started cleaning on Thursday, they went to Windover that weekend.
That Friday for grocery shopping.
Wow. Okay, so we talked about the horse. About Dawn, I don't think we need. So do you think, the other big question is there any other person of interest that might have helped Brenner? You think?
No. And I know in that statement that Cade Palmer released about the other, looking into other suspects, I just call him out on that. That's just a bunch of crap. I'm going to tell you, we know Chase wasn't in the area. Robert, he came forward, and yes, that's been cleared. He came forward to us. Chase came forward to us. We know Chase's whereabouts. Whether or not they could possibly know something, like, nobody's cleared. We can't say cleared until we know what happened. Whether or not they could know something, they could possibly know something. Were they there on the day Dylan went missing and everything happened? No, they were not. None of these people on the screen were there. That turned into such a circus so fast. We didn't even know what happened. We're out there looking for Dylan, and all of a sudden we didn't even know. We're spinning in circles because everybody in that area wanted to point the finger at somebody else. And you could trace it all back to they had problems with each other. Every one of them.
Sure. Yeah.
And none of the stories added up, and nothing made sense. And we, 90% of it was lies. And then we finally got into the bottom of it through phone pings, through cameras, through all of that. And everything leads back to that day at that shed. Right. There is no evidence that points out of that area, period.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't know if she could touch on this. Shack Lady asked, are you able to touch on the Bivens case and his role?
Yeah, that's of no relevance.
Yeah. Okay, almost done here. Okay, yeah. Let's pull this up here. You good?
Yeah, can you talk for just a minute? I got to take this.
Sure, yeah, I'll put you back here real quick.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, guys. I'm sorry I haven't gotten to your questions yet. So I took screenshots of the questions, because I did a community post a few days ago. So I've got those pulled up. When Candice comes back on, we will get her to answer those. And then if she has some time, maybe I'll pull up a few questions you guys have up on the screen. I'm sorry. She wanted to get the timeline out first. That way, it's as accurate as it can be. And thank you, mods, so much for all your hard work. And there is going to be some upcoming stuff for the members. I've got that Skinwalker Ranch members video coming out here soon. I had to do a little extra work on it. So maybe tomorrow I should have that out for the members. Let me see if I missed any. If I missed any donations, I apologize. Let's see if I went up here. Yeah, I missed one at the top. I'm sorry. Oh, there's so many. I can't find it. But thank you guys. If you guys donated, thank you so much. Special shout out to April, who sent me PayPal the other day. Thank you so much. That really helps. Because as you know, we want to try to go out and help if they do another search for Dylan Rounds. And hopefully maybe if we get a chance as well, maybe Aiden Clune as well. Yeah, I can kind of answer a little bit of that. I don't really want to answer questions for her, but the whole idea is, so the train would stop. Let me pull up the track, and then we'll pull up these questions when she comes back. That's a good one. Let's pull this up here. So the train, so you've got the tracks here, and the train would actually come by on this track here, and it would stop. I'm not sure exactly where it'd stop, but apparently, I guess maybe by the water hole. But it would stop, and so there was a theory that he could have maybe slung Dylan Rounds on top of the horse and walked it over. Oh, she's back. Okay. And then they would have put the body on the cart, but I don't think that's the case.
So that everybody knows, we have been in full contact with UP. They have an internal bulletin, so that with their law enforcement, so that has been addressed, and it makes no sense for him to walk the horse out there. But none of it makes sense, except for, you know, it was all right there. So we're not ruling out anything.
Sure.
But people say, you know, can't you have every train cart search? Can't, you know, they track them all. Yes, they track them all. But here's the problem. You got to get every yard on board, and you got to have faith that every person who's getting paid $10 an hour to unhook and rehook cars are going to thoroughly search it. You're talking about asking UP to shut down part of their operation for what is still a missing person / criminal case. This has not been ruled a homicide. They say they're treating it as one. But as far as it's actually ruled, it is still a missing person / criminal. There's no way you're going to get UP to do that.
Right.
Which I understand. If you had to ask UP to shut down their trains and check every car for every person who went missing next to a train track, you wouldn't have trains running. So it's an unrealistic request to even think that.
Yeah, because that's huge. I mean, just working at the post office, I can understand that kind of. So real quick before we get to the questions, so you Diesel Brothers happily matched the 100K. That's so awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's 200K now. For information directly leading to the safe return or arrest or conviction of the person or persons responsible for the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. So I've got some screenshots. Let's see. I don't know if you can't see him. Can you see him okay?
Yeah, I can read close up, just not far away.
Yeah. I think most of them are support. So let's see. Oh, I don't have a question. So support, a lot of it's support. I think we kind of answered this one. In our small community, the trash is identified on a grid in the landfill. They need someone to follow Brenner's trash trail.
Well, there's no way to follow it because who knows? It could have been any time between June 2nd and June 20th that he got rid of that. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could follow it, we absolutely would, but there's nothing to follow.
Right. So it's me. Michelle says, was the tire tread by the wash identified by the helicopter? So that was the Diesel Brothers video. Ever matched to Dylan's truck's tires?
So that was when I was in the chopper with York. The first one was a casting, so that was not done.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's in the chopper when we found those.
Okay. let's see. Could pressure? Okay, so could pressure be put on Box Elder Sheriff Department to conduct searches with dogs in the area that Dylan was last known to be? So, is there anything that?
I will tell you what. Between all the different YouTube videos and everybody covering Dylan and our Facebook page, I don't know how much more pressure you could put on them to help us. I
Right.
truly don't. It has been an amazing. I mean, they're blocking people left and right on
Yeah,
their
that's what I heard.
shutting down emails. I mean, even
That's
the
crazy.
governor, the AG, like, I mean, as a public worldwide, has been screaming at these people about get out there and find Dylan.
Yeah,
It's done nothing.
that is.
I don't get the resistance of not finding our son. I just don't get it. There's no words for it. I mean, I have a lot of words, but I publicly won't say them.
Understandable. So Red Horse says if she's comfortable, we kind of answered this, but does she believe there are others that may have helped cover for Brenner?
I believe somebody else knows. As far as covering, there's too much area and it'd be too easy to get rid of somebody to have to need help. And everybody's seeing Brenner now as this frail behind bars, and you see the pictures now, and when you compare him to the one picture we have earlier, he wasn't this weak, incapable. I mean, he was lazy.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't incapable of moving, 145, 150 pound kid around. That's, and especially you got to think if you do something wrong and you harm somebody, then you got adrenaline, and we all know what adrenaline does, and you can do a lot. There's everybody who has been brought to light throughout this case and all the cell phone data that has been pulled. None of those people were in the area. We'll just put it that way. Nobody else was in that area that fingers have been pointed at.
Okay. Caroline says, can she confirm if black bags containing animal or human remains by Lance and Ty have been checked out by authorities?
So let's go ahead and squash this one now. They are animal bones. They were checked out earlier. I seen another email on it about them asking for a private lab and needing help last week. I reached out to one of the Box Elder lieutenants who's been out there from the beginnings, had, helped us. He told me he was going to be out there. He actually reached out to Ty. Once again, those are animal bones. They were months ago when they were found.
Oh, has it been that long? Okay.
Yes, they're not new. It's so all of this stuff of, we catch a lot of criticism. I do, especially about, you need to publicly thank these people, and but these are not professionals. They don't know what they're looking for, and you could potentially be running over evidence, and we're going to get the teams out there, and it's going to happen. But this stuff of people donating to Dylan's search and sending, none of this is supported by the family. None of it. We are working through our disagreements with law enforcement. We're working through with EquiSearch. We've got some other teams, and we will get this ground covered in the proper way. But when you're out there basically fiddling stuff like that and claiming to have found this stuff, if you found a bag and you thought it was bones in it and you thought it could be Dylan's, would you not drive it straight to the sheriff's department?
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch it, honestly.
Yeah, or not touch it. So Box Elder, I will give Box Elder that. They have responded to that call. They have analyzed it. It has been cleared off. It is not Dylan. It is animal bones.
Right.
I don't know why it keeps coming back up, but that can just be squashed.
Okay. I've seen this one come up a lot. Ann Webb says, Candice, wasn't there a phone call or voicemail from Dylan to the shed owner? Yeah,
no.
I thought it kept popping up. I thought we'd just squash that. Okay, we kind of answered this, but Kathleen, hi Chris. Were there any bullets missing from the clip of Dylan's gun?
We don't know. We didn't count them.
Okay. Let's see. Put the pressure. Washed it. So.
Oh,
you see it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I see it. So these two people in particular, go back and listen to all the interviews and see if you can decipher their hundreds of different stories. Not one of them are the same. So they keep injecting themselves into this YouTube world, and not a single one of their stories are the same. It's of no relevance. And I mean, I got to the point I blocked the whole family from my phone.
Oh, wow.
Just nothing of relevance to say.
Yeah. I kind of tried to stay away from it. I play a few of the interviews just to kind of get an idea of the town and stuff. But yeah, I was always just kind of more focused on just what was there. So this one, so I'd like to know. There's a picture of Dylan wearing shorts, long socks, shoes, 2 pairs.
He was in Mexico.
Was he?
In Mexico on a cruise.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
and those shoes came free with the boots he wore. I still have the boots from Mexico that he never wore again, and the belt that came from him. But he bought those because they're like $500 boots, Mom, and I got them for $50.
Oh, wow.
Never did anything with them. Like I said, I still have the shoes and the boots. He was in Mexico.
So yeah, because he likes that one pair, and he always when he wears them out. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He just couldn't not. That's why, like I said, we've called him Willen and Dylan for a reason. Bring him back here and sell him to somebody for $300. Like that's his mentality. Like, I'm going to make some money off of this deal.
Okay, almost done. So I've got this, and then I've got one more page. I think it's got like 2 questions on it. So Miranda asks, can they hire a company to dig up the wash?
Absolutely not.
That sounds.
You have no clue what that wash is. That will be addressed, and we are getting that handled with specialized teams.
Okay. Let's see. I think she said something about a guy that was arrested, had a horse on. That's Brenner. Yep. And she said the horse hooves led to the pond. Yeah. I thought she said something about that. She gave me so much money I couldn't take it all in. Can you ask if she said that they followed the hoof prints to the pond?
No, to the railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Never the pond, the railroad tracks.
Okay. And then obviously they're wondering if the body could have been on there, but we kind of addressed that.
It could have.
Yeah. What is the train theory, which is kind of
the horse theory?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is so hard. Maybe own a pair of sneakers. Okay. Keep fighting for justice. Mama knows her kids best. Okay, this is just showing support.
Yep.
So, like I said, 90% of it was support. I just
we appreciate it, and we've got people listening to the facts now, and we're really getting that out there, and we appreciate the support because we've had, as a family, we've had to fight from the beginning so hard, and it's been so exhausting, just emotionally and mentally and physically, to have to fight this hard to get help to find your son. And now we've got a whole world backing Dylan, and we're gonna find him, and we're gonna bring him home.
Candice? Oh, you're kind of cutting out just a second there. You there? Oh, kind of hear you. Okay, there you go. Okay, it was just cutting out there for a minute. Oh, still cutting out a little bit. Oh, there you go. That looks. I think you almost fixed it. Okay, yeah.
How do you do it? I just won't move.
It sounds like my phone.
Right?
Yeah. One thing I want to say is you don't live there, so it's not like it's just right there. You've got to travel and do all this stuff at the same time when you're going to go, and so it's not just like you're there, and I can't imagine.
Which doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. Drive back and forth every day if we have to.
Sure.
Getting a direction and having to put all these pieces together ourselves has been difficult. We've learned a lot. Looking back on things, there's a lot of advice we have for parents who end up in our situation of what to do and what not to do. That people need to know, that they need to know in these situations. There's people you can reach out to. You don't You don't have to just sit there and spin circles and be terrified because law enforcement's not helping. There's a lot of people out there. You just don't ever want to have to experience it, so you don't ever look for it.
Right. Yeah, and most of this is support. Dylan has touched so many of our lives in so many ways. I've made new friends and found a new passion for true crime. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of support. About on the hour. Let's see. Any final thoughts that we might have not covered today?
No, I think we got it. We just need everybody to know we're still working on stuff. We are still moving forward, working on stuff that we have in the works to get out there and find them.
Yeah, I think we will. I
Yep.
think you guys will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for the support. Candice, can I put you backstage here in just a second? And then I'll talk to you right after the show, a couple things.
Okay.
That's okay.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much, Candice.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for the support, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys. We're just about at the hour mark. Thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are so awesome. She needs all the support she can get. And I should be on tomorrow, and then there'll be some other things, but we'll address that when we get to that point. So, but I can't say thank you enough to everybody. Thank you, mods, for all the help for today. Hopefully, I answered as much questions as I could. Okay. She's got a phone call to take, so I just got that message. So, but anyway, yeah. So special thanks to everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And like I said, I'll have some stuff for the members coming out here in a minute, or probably at the end of the day, if not tomorrow. And then, like I said, we'll hopefully go live tomorrow as well. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to play the outro, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys.